Thank you everyone for logging in before time. We appreciate your timeliness. We are just waiting for few more attendees to join in. We will begin shortly. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, we are waiting for few more people to join in. We shall begin in the next 5 minutes. Thank you. Welcome everyone. Thank you for joining today's webinar. I am Shanice Pereira, your host for today. Dun and Bradstreet, in association with Entity NetMagic and Google Cloud, are pleased to host a virtual conference titled Enterprise Collaboration Conference 2020 with the central theme Charting a Roadmap for Effective Enterprise Collaboration Strategies in the New Normal. Before we begin, I request everyone to please take a moment and go through the guidelines that have been displayed on your screen. As you can see on your screens, there is a Q&A section and chat section that will help you converse better with all the speakers. Now let's take a quick look at the flow of today's session. Please refer to the agenda displayed on your screen right now. A promising agenda with an eminent lineup of speakers, isn't it? I would like to take this opportunity to welcome and thank everyone for being a part of this virtual conference today. Let's kickstart now with the opening speaker of today. I would now like to invite our opening speaker, Mr. Vivek Sharma, Senior Domain Specialist, Dun & Bradstreet, India. Welcome, Mr. Sharma.
Thank you, Shanice. Good afternoon, everyone, and a warm welcome. Can I get the presentation right, Shanice?
Sure, sir. We'll give it to you.
Okay, so just a confirmation if you can see the presentation.
Yes, sir, it is visible.
Okay, thank you. So we are here to discuss an interesting theme today, which is charting a roadmap for effective enterprise collaboration strategies in the new normal. There are a lot of things that we need to know here. So let me first start with the concept itself, which is the new normal, and then we look at how can the strategies or roadmap be created for effective enterprise collaboration. So starting with the concept of new normal, we have heard a lot about the new normal. So a new normal generally means for a business in today's environment, it's about a dispersed productive workforce. So now from the previous approach of everybody being at an office, people are working from different locations, some from their home, some from far off locations, where they may have gone back to their native locations as well. The new normal also is about the new collaboration channels which are emerging. And today, it's very important that when you have dispersed productive workforce, collaboration channels need to be very effective and need to be in place. It's also about embracing automation. Automation is something where companies have always tried to incorporate the technologies which are coming up, emerging, and helping them to run the business. But the new normal has kind of forced even some companies which were a little hesitant to adopt these emerging technologies, the enablers, the world of the cloud, and other infrastructure to now embrace automation. So that's very important as a part of the new normal. Also, the new normal focuses on risk management approach. Risk management was always an integral part of the business, but it has never been so emphasized as it is today. So a forward-looking risk management approach is very important, and businesses need to perceive the risk and work accordingly, so that the disruption can at least be minimized and business objectives can be achieved. And innovation is something which companies cannot just do away with just because you are in a new normal environment. Innovation has to be there as an integral part of this entire, the process, the work which is going to happen in this environment. So having looked at aspects of new normal, let me quickly take you through what are the key aspects of remote working. Because then now that there is a dispersed workforce, we need to have the remote working aspects in place. So first of all, the most important thing is that when we talk about remote working, it has to be implemented in a structured way. That's very important. It's not a lift and shift model. It's not about having some connectivity at home and assuming that everything will be done. it's about a very organized approach to ensure that you implement the remote working, implement it effectively, and ensure that the work does not get impacted. That's very important. Securing the infrastructure for remote working, it's also very important because there is no one location from where you are working. So infrastructure needs to be protected, needs to be taken care of. That's the second aspect. And balancing the work and private lives of employees. Now, this goes beyond technology, but you just create Chinese wall here and say that the third point is not linked to the first two. Obviously, those aspects also need to be considered, and it's a very critical aspect because when we focus on productivity, we just cannot overlook this aspect. Okay, now what are the some of the other aspects that we need to look at using the right tool for a good migration. When we are talking about migration, we are not referring here to some kind of a technological migration also. It's about the entire aspect of the working migration that we are talking about, how the work will happen in the new environment, and maintaining a good employee sentiment for good collaboration. Human resource is going to be a very key, a very effective resource in this remote working environment. So you need to ensure that there is an appropriate collaboration at different levels, right from the top to the junior most employee, so that the benefits of this remote working can be, maximized, and the company can actually capitalize on this and get the desired results, or just to put it in a broader perspective, achieve the business objectives, which has been the part of the overall goal. But when the new normal, they tend to look little different, and if I could use that word, somewhat challenging as well. So these are some of the aspects that need to be looked at. Now, remote working also requires new thinking. It's very important, and the thinking has to come from the leadership. That leadership will be driving this new thinking. So, what are the key aspects that need to look at? There's an element of corporate culture that needs to undergo change, I'm sure this change cannot be a cut and paste kind of a change. It needs to be, gradually populated to the bottom of the operation, so that corporate culture change is required. A new operational model will be in place for many businesses, because now they are looking at automation as an effective tool, where they will have to also think about how do they align it to the overall operational model. Business goals needs to be now looked at with this new normal environment, and a lot of data driven analysis will also be there, because today, when people are at different locations, data will become very important tool to effectively understand and analyze how things are moving. Of course, it was always there, but what the point that I'm trying to emphasize is that this will gain more importance than what it had earlier. So these are some of the aspects that will come up. Now, you will also need to think about a virtual team which can give you, what you call as the productive results. So, what are the effective outcome that you will need to look at in terms of your virtual team if you have that in place? You will focus on four broad areas. Productivity is definitely, you monitor and check how productivity is. How the communication is also very important. So communicating through the new channels which are available. A culture part I just emphasized upon, and businesses will not stop now. They are going to continue with the hiring. Hiring is going to be part of the business, because business will need new resources to ensure that the activities continue. And finally, the most important thing is that when we talk about the new normal, security becomes a very important point. I'm not going into the technical aspect of what security means and how to implement it through effective technologies which are in place. But some of the areas that needs to be looked at today more than ever before is about data security, because now there is a possibility of data breaches happening and data theft also happening. There may be other aspects as well. Cyber security becomes very important because everything is online. You're working in that remote environment, and the most important point that need not be forgotten is compliance with guidelines and standards are not waived off. So we will continue to have that in place to ensure that the business works effectively and in a streamlined manner. So these were some of the initial thoughts from my side. With this, I will hand it over back to Shams.
Thank you, Mr. Sharma. What an informative session that was. Before we move on to the second speaker of the day, let's have us all gear up to participate in the poll which is displayed on the screen. Please note, we will be having each poll question spread throughout today's session. I urge everyone to participate and cast their votes on this platform. All speakers and attendees, please cast in your polls as well. As you can see on your screens right now, you will have a question displayed on the right-hand side of your screen. What benefits do you see from enterprise collaboration? It's a multi-choice question. You can choose your answers. We request each and everyone to please cast in your polls. Your feedback matters a lot to us. All our speakers and attendees, please do cast in your polls. We have a few seconds left for the poll to end. Thank you everyone for casting in your polls. We will now move on to our second speaker of the day, Mr. Viranchi Sharma, G Suite Sales Specialist, Google Cloud. Welcome, Mr. Sharma. Sir, we are unable to hear you. If you could unmute yourself.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, perfectly fine, sir.
Thank you very much, and thank you all for joining this session. I think taking over from Vivek, he mentioned a few things around culture. He mentioned a few things about hiring, and he also mentioned something around security. Now, all three are critical elements here if you look at it. And if you look at Google, what we are doing internally in Google and what we are doing for the customers, this is like this is not just what we are doing it now. It has been in our DNA since the very beginning. The whole idea of working from anywhere, from any device, and from any zone, any time zone, anywhere, anytime, any device, that has been something which has always been in our DNA, right? And Google internally, if you ask me, we've been doing a lot of hiring ourselves, right? Our teams have grown 2x to 3x in the past 6 months. A lot of people have joined, so rightly pointed out by Vivek, hiring is going to continue. We just have to ensure that the users are given the right set of technology, the right set of security, and the right platform for being productive as well when they are not in the office and they are working in silos. So let me take you through the next 15-20 minutes about what Google is doing in this overall scenario and with what we've been doing in the past as well. We call it, we basically position cultural transformation to our customers, and it's not only about a particular product or a SKU related discussion. As Vivek rightly pointed out, the biggest change that any organization has to do today is cultural transformation. And customers who are already on G Suite, customers who are looking to move into G Suite, are they have a very strong initiative driven from the top leadership of an overall cultural transformation, and that's why we call it this solution as a communication, collaboration, and a security solution, which enables the organizations to transform culturally and being more productive wherever they are. Sorry, yeah. So next slide, please. Let me quickly talk about how it all started. I mean, I'm sure most of you are aware about what Google is and what Google does, but just to take a 2 minute recap here, it all started in 1998. We've always had this garage mindset. I'm not saying we were the only ones, but we also started in a garage in 1998, like some of the other companies that you see here. And that mindset is actually really important for the whole idea of innovating and scaling at the same time. Innovation is important. Innovation is something people relate to Google. When they think about Google, they think about innovation. When they think about Google, they think about how an organization works differently and independently. Uh, 118,000 employees today in 2020, with an overall revenue of more than $100 billion. It's like it's tremendous. It's a result of a lot of continuous innovation, continuous investment, and continuous investments in technologies like machine learning, natural language processing, security. These are some of the things where we've been pioneering for. And if you could go to the next slide, that will tell you about what our mission statement has been. It's a very, very relatable mission statement here, what we have in Google Cloud. Our mission is to organize the world's information and make it universally accessible and useful. Now, whether it is your 5-year-old daughter or your, some of the senior citizens, or whether it is an enterprise, what Google brings to the table is simplicity. Any application or any service that you use, uh, you just enjoy the simplicity of it and the intuitiveness of it. And everybody's depending on Google for something or the other, which you will see in the next slide, where we have a journey from 1997 all the way up to 2020. If you can just move to the next slide, please, where we cover. Started with Google search, and then Maps happened, then YouTube happened, then Gmail happened, and today it's very difficult for any of us to imagine our lives without these services. It's very difficult to imagine our lives without Google search or an email or a YouTube. There are billions of users actively using these services at any given point of time. And what this slide particularly tells you is the backend infrastructure that we have in terms of the scalability and the reliability. When I talk about Google Cloud, when I talk about G Suite, G Suite will also run on a cloud infrastructure which is proprietary, which is, we don't sell our hardware, but we make our hardware. The entire network of fiber optics and the entire hardware data centers that we have are proprietary, built by Google, secured by Google, and that's the kind of scalability that you get while using any of the Google application. Now, today there are 9 billion user applications, and we can proudly say that today we have 11 rather billion user applications, and 9 out of those 11 are from Google. The two others are Facebook and Instagram. So this really tells you about the entire journey we've had from 1998, and whatever we've learned in terms of the data that we have, we've kind of incorporated that in building our products and building our services, which are already embedded with the strongest of machine learning and natural language processing solutions that we have in play. Now, coming to what is happening today, right? If we can go to the next slide, there are productivity issues. Everybody's talking about remote working and how can we enable remote workers. But even before this, there were productivity issues. We are not saying that productivity issues were just a result of the pandemic. They were already there. Google was already there. G Suite was already there, and we were helping customers in the three or four broad areas, right? McKinsey has done a study which tells you that an employee's time is spent, a large part of the employee's time is spent on looking for information. Now, the information can be on different sources. For example, it can be on a OneDrive, it can be on a SharePoint, it can be on some other source in your desktop. A lot of time is spent on consolidating and searching for information. And the result of that is that the senior leadership or the executives do not receive the information that they need on time. As a result of that, you end up recreating content which is already there within your organization, but you somehow couldn't find it. Somehow it took a lot of time to do a lot of email exchanges, to go through all those files in different folders. It takes a lot of time, and 38% time is spent unsuccessfully on searching and recreating content which is already there. So this was the productivity issue which was already there. Now whole pandemic coming into the play, where people are using different devices, different sources, and it's very difficult for them to search for information at the right time. How to deal with employee engagement, collaboration, team spirit, security, remote work, all those things are the talk of the town now. And if you go to the next slide, you would see what has been the effects, and what has been the first order effect, what has been the immediate fallout, and what has been the second order effect. Now, Google comes into the play in the second order effect. I'm sure you all have attended many webinars and part of many discussions. Uh, so I will quickly jump to the second order effect, where now the need is more to protect your organization's sensitive data and intellectual property. And of course, to club it with the whole collaboration idea, how multiple people can work together in a single document or a single slide or a single sheet without looking for information, without doing a lot of email exchanges. How can you do that in a much more secure way? How can you protect your organization's data? How can you securely and rapidly onboard remote workers in the cost effective way? To Vivek's point that hiring will continue and is happening, how are you ensuring that people, the employees are getting onboarded in the required nick of the time? And this is where Google's strength has been always. Google has consistently invested in these areas to develop the gold standard of employee experience. When we talk about our products, we don't talk a lot about feature functionality, because you're fairly confident that that's already there, that's a given. We talk about the employee experience. Now, when you ask our customers how has been the experience using G Suite, uh, we've really quantified the happiness quotient. We in Google, we truly believe in the culture of happiness, and the culture of collaboration and productivity, culture of working together, deviating from the culture of hierarchy. All that is a part of Google culture, but the same thing has been now inculcated to our customers. And if you ask them, they've been a really, really happy bunch of customers, which will tell you that the users are starting to enjoy work, they're starting to collaborate more. And of course, the biggest point that I'm trying to make here is all this you can do by ensuring the right set of security tools. And I'll come to the security aspects, in the subsequent slides. But this is what our strength has been. This is where we've continuously invested in. Now, effective collaboration is critical with the remote workforce, but this is another survey which was done even before the pandemic. But when you talk about remote working, a lot of remote workers believe that they miss out on important information. They miss out on a lot of important calls. They miss out on a lot of presentations that are being created, documents that are being created. They may miss out on email. They may miss out on some sort of file which was there in some other location. 75% of remote workers believe that they miss out on important information. And the most teams that we are talking to today, most teams, whether large organizations or small organizations, they are not ready for the change. I mean, if you go to the next slide, what I'm trying to say here is that everybody has a technology setup which is designed for office work, which is designed for desktop based working, which is designed for thick clients, and the tools are disconnected. There are different tools being used in organizations, like an on-prem security tools, like maybe a Symantec DLP, or maybe an IBM Mass 360 mobile device management, maybe a different set of a VPN tool, maybe a different single sign-on. So these tools are very, very disconnected, and these tools are really made for an on-prem setup or an office setup where we talk about some legacy applications. A lot of teams are not ready for it, and of course, there are a lot of security vulnerabilities as well when you take your entire workforce out of the office. And a larger workforce possesses new threats. Like if you go to the next slide, you will see that 18 million phishing emails are going on today related only to COVID. Next slide, please. Phishing emails per day. So we've invested a lot in anti-phishing, anti-spamming, and antivirus. We will talk about how Google itself, the G Suite, gives you all these elements as a part of the package, and you don't have to invest heavily on any other antivirus or an anti-spam solution, because all that's a part of it. And we've been really pioneering in this technology of anti-phishing and anti-spamming, and we know that today there are like millions of phishing emails going on due to COVID. Another example is when you go to the next slide, is that the whole idea of VPN, right? It's very hard to deploy and manage. It doesn't scale well. It leaves important security gaps. It frustrates the end user when they're trying to log into an application. The mere activity of opening a computer, joining, finding a particular file, and then frustrating, login via VPN. It's not a really uh, a solution which any user or any employee enjoys. There's a lot of frustration around it, and it's particularly ill suited for a third party user like contractors and partners. A lot of organizations depend on their dealers, partners, and contractors, and this whole setup is not really uh, made for remote working. And that's where we are talking to a lot of customers. In fact, we not only talking, but we have moved a lot of customers during this time to G Suite. Uh, and why they have moved to G Suite is something that you will see in the next slide. That it's just not about G Suite. It's also about advanced video conferencing. It's about advanced security controls, which includes Beyond Corp. We will talk about what Beyond Corp is in some time. But What G Suite is, it is a set of collaboration applications where you get to collaborate between your team members. There is Google Slides, there is Google Docs, there is Google Sheets, and of course, email and calendar are also a part of it. And now we've come up with an instant messaging solution called Google Chat, which is also a part of it. And there are several elements that we can talk about in detail. But why they have been able to move large manufacturing organizations, even they started their journey in April, just for an example, they migrated 10,000 users to G Suite in flat 40 days, and the entire migration was done remotely. And today they are live and they are happy because they wanted to move out of the legacy platform and they wanted to incorporate collaboration, advanced video conferencing, and advanced security at the same time. From where they moved from, what was their existing setup? I mean, if you look at this picture, right? It's neither an aeroplane or nor a car, if you ask me. And this is what the competition has always been doing over the past probably 10, 15 years. They are not really sure whether they are a cloud solution or an on-prem solution. If you really ask O365 customers or Microsoft customers how much of collaboration is done, even if they are on O365, are they actually using the online platform? Are they actually co-authoring? Are they actually sharing content and collaborating together? Are they able to powerfully search for documents across their organization? Does the tool have proactive security, or you have to invest heavily on some other solutions, or you have to buy some additional licenses like an EMS or an ATP? Just quoting some examples. So they were never really sure of what they are. Are they cloud? Are they on-prem? Are they hybrid? And even today, it's really complex to understand what they're trying to say. Unlike them, Google is a cloud native solution. We were born in the cloud. That's why we understand cloud functionality, we understand cloud security, we understand cloud scalability. And that's why we are able to give you the seamless collaboration, powerful search, and advanced security at the same time. Now let's come to what is G Suite in the next slide. It's a set of different services. As I said, that we have divided this into three broad areas, which is connect, create, and control. The connect part is where your teammates, wherever they are, can connect very easily via Gmail, via chat, or via Meet. And Currents is a social network for your own business. We used to call it Google Plus, but now it's being re-engineered and called Currents now. And the create part is where you can create content. We can create content using documents, sheets, and slides. And all these services are embedded with a very, very strong NLP and machine learning feature. For example, in Google Docs, you don't even have to type. There is voice to text. You can easily translate that to any other language. You can collaborate. 50 people can work together in the single document at the same time. And same goes with sheets. With sheets, no need to type really big formulas. You can ask the sheet. You can just select a particular set of rows and columns, and then you can ask a question. What has been the average revenue, for example, per set of reason? We we call that as an explore option. When you start using sheets, you will see the explore option on the bottom right of the sheet. So there are multiple features like this. Don't want to dwell too much into the feature part, but the way we differentiate with our competition is in two areas. One is the use cases of when you talk about different line of businesses, when you talk about HR, marketing, sales, supply chain. These are some of the LOBs which have really loved our solution. Just to quote an example, it's very, very easy to pull out data from an SAP ERP or an Oracle ERP or a Siebel CRM to from Google Sheet, and then you can give that to the service side of the company, where they can create a real-time tracker of what is happening in a particular region, what is happening in a particular service request. Just a simple solution of a single source of truth where multiple people work together. Sites, for example, there are a lot of companies who have made 40 to 50 intranet sites because they wanted to achieve a flat organization structure, and multiple departments had created their own sites. So Google Sites is another powerful tool to easily create, build your websites. Easy, low code, no IT requirement, very, very effective tool to build your own sites. And then there is obviously forms where you can create different surveys, and then you can pull out reports and analyze them using Google Sheets. Where we differentiate is in the control part as well. And let me spend a minute here on the control part, which is a really important part in these times. We talk about device management. For example, there might be a lot of people in this group as well who have invested separately in a device management solution, who have invested in a single sign-on solution, who have invested in a VPN solution, who have invested in a DLP solution, who have invested in an archiving solution. All that is part of G Suite, and that is the whole value add. When you do a TCO, when we actually go deep and do a TCO with our customers and an ROI with our customers, it's they are really left surprised to see that even the basic G Suite SKU has MDM, it has email DLP, and when you talk about the enterprise edition, you will get a whole chunk of SSO device management as well, from a cloud identity perspective. So that's where the whole value is in the control part, and it is just not a collaboration solution. I want to stress upon the fact that security is taken very very seriously here in Google, and if you do the whole investment analysis as to what have you been investing in the past and what is Google offering to the table, there'll be a huge difference, and customers are really surprised to do that TCO when we talk about what we are offering in the basic features of our G Suite SKU. Another important aspect, if you go to the next slide, is the beyond co-op thing. Now, everybody wants an identity and a context-aware access control, user verification, load balancing. These are some of the really deep, tech stuff here. But enterprise-grade identity is what we are offering to the table. We call it beyond code remote access, and this is a part of G Suite Enterprise Edition, where you get this as a package. Cloud Identity Premium is a separate SKU which is separately available as well. But the whole idea of beyond co-op, the whole idea of remote working, I think the real value is in the G Suite Enterprise Edition that we have to offer. And obviously, we can do a lot of deep dive in these areas as well. But these are all additional investments that companies do, and which is really a part of our package in G Suite. One last thing I wanted to touch base was in terms of feature functionality aspect was the whole search concept in the next slide. If you look at our Google search, if you can go to the next slide, please. Hello. Yeah, just go to the next slide, please. The Google search that we have, right? That is the power of Google search. So imagine if you have the power of search for your enterprise itself. We are all familiar with Google search, right? Imagine you have that power of Google search within your organization. It is built for G Suite. It is just like Google search. It can easily search emails, talks, events, and corporate directory all at once. It is what you need before you ask, right? And I mentioned that a lot of employees are spending time on searching information, consolidating information, and this has been one of our strengths from the very beginning. It's very easy for me, for all Googlers, to search for the content using Google Drive, for that matter. If I wake up in the morning, I open my Google Drive, it will automatically suggest me what files I was working on yesterday and what files I need to present today by intuitively aligning with my calendar. That's the kind of AI which is inbuilt. And search for your company directory and see all your colleagues' contact details. You can use this in multiple ways. This is also a separate solution. If you want a search solution which can search from your ERP and other applications, now that's a separate solution as well, which we have to offer, which we do offer, which is called the Google Enterprise Cloud Search. But the search with G Suite, though it is limited to Drive and email, I think it's one of the strongest points that we have today, and that's what the new hires love when they join Google. It's very very easy to find content. Quickly coming to the customers part, I mean, there's a perception that G Suite and Google solutions are only for, say, the top innovators in the world, which are the likes of Flipkarts and Olas and Spotify's. If we can move to the next slide, please. It is not only that; it is also the established players, established market leaders that have moved to Google. And if till the slide is coming up, I can tell you that. As I said, not only the likes of Olas and Flipkarts, but if you look at some large organizations in the world, for example, PwC, for example, Airbus, L&T Financial Services, these are like 20, 30,000 users already moved to G Suite. Lately, we've had Wipro move in as well. It's a horizontal solution. As you can see, there are a lot of industries here. There are industries in FSI space. There are companies in manufacturing space, and there are companies like the Olas and Flipkarts, which were early adopters. So we have a very strong reference study in India. And any organization who's looking to move obviously would want to find out what was the journey of these customers, what challenges did they have, how much time did they take to migrate. And we are absolutely ready for all those questions, and because we've been doing that for years, and we've done that successfully for a large and small organizations. And coming to the next slide, which is the overall TCO part, which I was talking about. If you look at the current state of a legacy company, right, they are spending on backup NDR, antivirus, DLP, rights management, mobile device management, identity management. This is the current state. In fact, this was the current state of a company which very recently migrated to G Suite. And the future state which we are positioning is all that bundled together in G Suite, with a layer of cloud identity at the bottom, which we call it Beyond Corp. Okay, so I think we can go to the next slide here, the overall value impact slide, because obviously we believe in making things fast, making things smart, and making things together. We are telling the customers to reimagine how their businesses work by powering teams to be faster and smarter. And that is what you will see when you start using our doc sheets and slides as well. And the overall value, I think the next slide will tell you the tangible benefits. This has been a research conducted by Forrester of multiple organizations across the world, and this is what they've achieved. They've been able to save 171 hours per user per year. Now that is almost equal to 21 days of productivity. Reduced demand on tech support. Now, very interesting fact is that we in Google do not know what is IT support. We don't even go to IT support, and very rarely we talk about IT support. Yeah, this is not working, and we've kind of reached out to IT support. So if you look at the research, I'm sure you will say we are Google and we can do that. But if you look at some legacy large organizations, they have seen at least 20% reduction in on-demand tech support. They have seen 95% reduced risk of data breach. They have, at the end of the day, seen an increase in their revenue, right? And 300% ROI is something which we proudly talk about. This is not something which is coming from some analysis. This is coming from the field. This is coming from our customers who have been onboarded onto G Suite, and customers for the past 3 years. So these are the tangible benefits. Happy to share with you a detailed report on this as well. And just to give you the assurance, a couple of slides on how easy it is for a large organization like Colgate or a Nielsen to move 20,000, 50,000 employees to G Suite. So I know there is a lot of concern around how can we migrate to a new platform during this time. We are all remote. Let me assure you, we've been doing that very actively during the pandemic, and of course before the pandemic as well. Colgate, you moved over 23K employees to G Suite in a single weekend. That was the whole migration part, and the architecture and deployment took at least 6 months. So 23,000 users, 6 months. And if you look at the next slide as well, yeah, if we have many slides, but if 6 months took Nielsen, a large global company like Nielsen, to move 56,000 employees to G Suite. And they're doing a lot of meetings per month. They are spread across 100 countries. So I'm not talking even about different geographies here. I'm talking about 100 countries. A company uh, at that scale was able to migrate 50,000 users in 6 months. So if we are talking about 5,000, 10,000, 15,000 users, recently we did that for a customer in flat 40 days as well. So I think that's it from my side. Happy to take another round of questions. I'm sure there'll be a lot of questions, but feel free to connect with me, and happy to have a more deeper discussion as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Sharma. That was a very indeed, informative and interesting session. We will now move on to our next poll for the day. Before we move on to our third speaker, I request each and every one, attendees and speakers, take the poll that is flashed on your screen right now. What, according to you, is the most important feature when considering or evaluating collaboration solutions? There are 5 options. We request each one of you to cast in your polls. We have 1 minute in total for each one of you to fill in the polls displayed on the screen. We have few seconds left. Request each one of you all to please cast in your polls before it ends. The poll has ended. Thank you each and every one of you for sharing your inputs on the same. We will now move on to the next speaker of the day, Mr. Makardwaj Tambade, Assistant General Manager, Products and Services, Entity NetMagic. Welcome, Mr. Tambade.
Thank you. Thank you. We'll pass rights to
We've just given it to you, sir. If you can just check.
me. Just to check, can you see my screen?
Yes, sir, it's visible.
Okay, thank you. And thanks for that. So team, actually, thanks Viranchi, thanks Vivek. That was really a deep insight, okay, around how the new normal is impacting okay, businesses and subsequently, like we also know from the Vivek's talk that okay, the pandemic is here or the new normal is here to stay. It is not going to end even in the coming days as well. And this time it too with the new thinking actually. So the traditional approach for the remote working is no longer going to be there, and even this pandemic itself is really disrupting us everywhere right away in the business, even in personal lives as well. Here are just few facts I have put actually just to show you that how the each analyst and even the different organizations, being it analyst or some media house, how they are seeing the biggest impact or how we are getting okay the disruptions from everywhere, okay, being it a different sources. So we saw that the most impact is okay now after this pandemic overnight we started working from home, and then when we work from home then again there is so much dependency, and then this other aspect comes like aspect like the security aspect, then the stable connectivity aspect, then we talked
Hello,
about that
sir.
third. Can you
Is
hear
it
me?
possible? Yeah, we can hear you. It's just if you could speak a little closer to the mic, I think it will be perfectly audible then.
Yeah, okay, just okay. Am I audible now?
It, it sounds perfect, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, okay. Thank you. Thanks for that. I think there is some issue in my headset. Okay, thanks for that. So if you see that there is the disruption is actually touching us in all the aspect. Like first of all, since we are going to work from the remote, and then ultimately the tools required for the collaboration is entirely different. The consumption of the collaboration apps like the G Suite Meet itself, or being it Microsoft Teams or Zooms, all that consumption is suddenly higher, and then what it really means is like or what is really the message for us is now again because of this entire okay the disruptions, it is taking us to a completely a new way of working, okay, and it also opens us a new opportunities as well, and as it opens the new opportunities there are certain challenges as well. Like Vivek has highlighted, even Viranchi has highlighted that there are certain aspects like when we are moving to work from the home, again G Suite is one of the best solution, and how it is addressing the concerns around security, around the collaborations. But this itself is a problem. If we are working right now and we are just moving to the work from home without a proper collaboration tool like G Suite, then there are certain challenges around the security, because again the business critical data is like transferring, and then we need to ensure that the security, right kind of security, like in terms of encryption, has to be taken care when the data is transferring or the data is in transit, as well as when the data is stored at the central place, which is the cloud. Then even the connectivity becomes most crucial. Then the next one is a virtual infrastructure as well. So there are so many emerging themes around the connectivity, around the collaborations, around how the end user experiences, end-to-end user experiences, and how the businesses are going to run. On the G Suite aspect, I will just keep my talk limited to the G Suite aspect here. Again, Entity NetMagic is a partner with the Google Cloud, and we really like, thanks Viranchi, he already talked on the G Suite as well, but I will just touch some of the three key points. Actually, Viranchi has already touched how the collaboration is going to improve because of the G Suite, because it have a clear cut different aspect. It is under connect portion, we saw that there is a meet available for the video calls and office meetings. Then there is a mailing solution available. In create section, he's shown us, okay, there is a sheets, there is a docs available. And how it really helps is, now in the traditional way, if there are multiple teams working on the single document, then we keep sharing that with each other. It takes a lot of time. But what really happens when we are using the Google Sheets or Google Doc kind of things, then ultimately when the users are accessing, the security is taken care. Only the designated people is allowed to access that document, and multiple people can collaborate together. They can work on something together, they can meet together, they can set the calendaring. So the overall collaboration is drastically improved when it comes to the G Suite. And even Viranchi has also highlighted how, if we compare the other collaboration kind of platforms, then how the G Suite is helping there. In terms of security and control, again, like Viranch has, they highlighted few points as well, like DLP kind of solution. We need to take, if it's a traditional kind of way of working and traditional tools, then we need to take care of separately a DLP kind of solution to take care of the end devices. Then we need to place the security in place for the device as well as for the applications as well. But G Suite is again ensuring entire securities and the control in terms of device controls, when the security aspect, when the user is accessing the applications, when the data is in transit, as well as data is stored inside the cloud as well. So how that is again taken care from the security aspect as well. And in terms of overall TCO as well, there is a huge difference. Viranchi has shown some of the key aspect, how the TCO is really helping actual when we are doing the transformation towards G Suite for a long term, not just beyond the pandemic as well. Now, Entity NetMagic is again a partnered and premium partner with the Google Cloud. Okay, we are working based out of India, and even we do have a global presence as well. I will just take you through those slides as well. But how we are helping, or how the Entity NetMagic is helping to the end customers in terms of deployment, like we have right set of skills available, and we start, okay, analyze. So the entire engagement or the transformation journey towards a G Suite starts with the first consultation, understanding the current environment, what mailing platform we have, what collaboration tools we are using. So we have a right set of skilled and trained manpower who take care and who ensures that all the standard practices which is mentioned by Google is followed. And based on that, we do a complete requirement analysis, and based on that, we propose the best solution available to the end customer on the G Suite. Because even in G Suite also, we have different SKUs available, and what is the right SKU for your organization, what is the right security requirement, what is the right kind of users, application kind of requirements. So we analysis all that as a part of initial solution building. Then when it comes to the migration, again, migration is a very crucial activity, because what happens at present, most of the organizations, we have a separate tool for meeting, then separate tool for mailing solutions, and there is some separate like SharePoint kind of, or some central kind of repository where database is stored and multiple people have access to it. So again, these all the solutions are spreaded across multiple services at present. When it comes to the migration, then again, Entity NetMagic ensuring that the right set of tool is used for the entire transformation of the entire platform, being it a mailing service or being it a collaboration tools, or even the documentation portion as well. And we use the right set of tool based on the current environment. We support almost all the major tools which we need to do the transformation to the G Suite from the different platforms. We know that there are so many platforms available. So that is something, and we do take care of managed services as well. So once the migration has been completed, then we have a full-fledged team who is proactively monitoring the entire platform 24/7. They are skilled, and as a part of managed services offering, then we ensure that the service is up and running, so that the customer focuses really on the businesses, and the Entity NetMagic takes care of the entire infrastructure for the customer. Now, how we really follow the continuous monitoring and managed services aspect as well. So as I mentioned, we have a set of dedicated resources, those who are already skilled and certified as well. In term, again, for all the practices, like being it service management, being it service delivery or service operations, or service assurance as well. Like in entity, we follow the most stringent processes, and standard process like ITIL processes, and some improvement in-house as well. So which we ensures that the infrastructure is getting monitored 24/7. The people and support is again available 24/7, because businesses are running 24/7, and it is just not about the support, but support on the right time with the stringent SLA. Because if the collaboration tools like this goes down even for 30 minutes, then there is a direct impact, because people will not be able to attend meeting, will not be able to access the required documentations and application as well. In terms of service management, again, we do follow all the standard processes to ensure that application is up and running. And it can be if the management can be related to the incidents, or if some change has to be conducted, or if there is something repetitive nature kind of problem, and that itself becomes a problem management itself, then we have a special team for that as well, who take care of the problem management and ensure that it is never occurred, and whenever incidents happen, it is resolved at that time only, and that is within the stringent SLA as well. As I mentioned, even for monitoring or being for a migration, we use the most updated and most commonly used tools, and which is the necessary tools, the actual necessary tools in for the monitoring, as well as for the migration as well, and even for patching as well. And even we do have some in-house developments as well. In terms of compliance, again, we have almost all the necessary compliances, which is the best recommended by the industry itself. And again, the team is, again, as I mentioned, team is absolutely skilled and certified. With the Google Cloud entity, NetMagic really have a strategic partnership, and that partnership is not only limited to a G Suite authorized reseller as well as managed services provider for G Suite and Google, but it is also touching to the Google Cloud offering as well. And it is just not the offering, but like I have categorized this into three subcategories. Like first of all, in terms of entire cloud, so entire, like if it's cloud related contracts, cloud related billing, cloud related support, so NetMagic will be the single point of contact for entire cloud consumption, being it a G Suite as well as even on the Google Core Cloud transformation as well. My team helps you even in terms of the entire transformation as well, right away from analysis of the current workloads, analysis of the current collaboration platform, mailing platform, and other platforms as well. And even on top of that, we create a detailed solution, and even we do provide some POC kind of environments as well. There are some offerings which we have created with the Google Cloud as a part of center of excellence establishment with the Google Cloud. This is now something which very exclusively a NetMagic and Google Cloud has arrived, where we test the latest innovation technologies. We check where the future is leading, and even Anthos kind of testing, which is very advanced platforms, even VDI kind of platforms, because we saw that even along with the G Suite, even after pandemic, the work from home has drastically increased, and desktop as a service again become one of the most crucial requirement. Then those kind of advanced features, for which we need either today or tomorrow, those kind of testings, we have a separate lab, what we call it as a center of excellence formation. You might seen that on the media as well. Then in terms of resource, again, we have right skill set of resources available. That is in terms of the offering with the Google, in terms of billing, as well as in the managed services aspect as well. We at the entity NetMagic, even we do have our own network and networking capabilities as well. Now we all know that for the future of businesses, it's either a hybrid kind of deployment, or it's a multi-cloud kind of deployment. And in such scenarios, and even for collaboration tools kind of things as well, the connectivity is very crucial for the future. And when we say the connectivity, then it really means the performance has to be stable across 365 days. In performance in terms of availability of the bandwidth, availability of the connection itself, and even the performance in terms of latency as well. So even we do have offering around the connectivity as well, where we do help customers even for their multi-cloud or hybrid cloud kind of deployments as well. And in terms of security, again, security is the most crucial aspect. We all know that. And After this pandemic, again, this is going to increase and increase. So even there is a set of security offerings even Entity NetMagic have with the Google Cloud. Some of them are as a standalone as well. In terms of footprints, Entity NetMagic, okay, again, the Entity NetMagic is a group company of Entity Limited. For NetMagic, there is some small information about the Entity NetMagic. Recently, we got recognized as a leader for the data center provider for India region as well. We do have presence uh, at different offices, total 11 offices we have at present, 9 data centers, 3 R&D center, one is exclusively with Google as well. And then even we do have presence around the networking capabilities as well. The NetMagic is again a group company of entity group itself. Okay, we all know entity group. It's a actually 11 billion size company, and they have a presence around literally around the 139 countries globally as well. So we are there to help our customers not only in the India but at global scale as well. Now, in terms of offerings, even Entity NetMagic is offering you the entire IT requirement. So if you have any requirement around cloud, around G Suite, collaboration, so we are there to take care of you for the managed services aspect with the Google, for cloud aspect, right away from the planning, consulting, migration, managed services, support, and billing aspect as well. That is not only around the like the G Suite, but even on the cloud requirement as well. In terms of managed services capabilities, this is something which I have already touched, but in short, actually, I would like to tell you that again, we take care of, we follow the most stringent practices, which is developed inside and based on the standard ITIL practices as well. So what it really means for the end customer is like whatever we commit the SLA, we honor that SLA, and the SLAs provided by NetMagic is very, very stringent. So even in this pandemic time, actually, we have 300 plus certified engineers around the different actual platforms. They are working 24/7, and because of the support or because of any support related or even a network infrastructure related, knock related, or delivery related issues, it's absolutely a zero downtime, zero SLA breach, or zero outage what we have ensured towards the customer. And the services what NetMagic is offering, all those are up and running. So the team, again, I always say hats off to those teams who is really going to the office, because monitoring is a service which 24/7 has to be up and running to ensure that the businesses are running, support is available to the end customer. And then team, even in this pandemic time as well, there is a set of teams what we have, those are going to the office. And then even on top of that, we are ensuring that all the standards and security gears are in place to ensure the safety of all those engineers. So even in this kind of time, we are ensuring the service is up and running towards the customer, support is available on the time, and even managed services capabilities are also up, running, and delivered. There is some set of customers, again, I will not touch the more, but these are some of the happy customers which Entity NetMagic is helping them to ensure that their businesses are up and running in terms of IT offering at present. So I'm just finishing. I will just pause there for a second. So if you have any query, then maybe probably we can start with the query Q&A as well.
Thank you so much, sir. That was indeed a very interesting presentation. Moving on, ladies and gentlemen, before we move to the Q&A session, it's polling time once again. We would like you to share your inputs on the question displayed on your screen. The question is flashed on the right-hand side of your screen. What are the major drivers to invest in collaboration tools? There are 4 options. Request all our speakers and attendees to please cast in your polls. Ladies and gentlemen, we have few seconds left for the poll to end. We request each and everyone to please cast in your polls as your inputs matter a lot to us. The poll has ended. Thank you each and everyone who have casted their polls. We do have a few questions from the audience for our speakers. We would request Mr. Vivek Sharma to ask these questions to our presenters.
Okay, thank you, Shanice. And there are some questions lined up which I will ask one by one. So let me put first question to Mr. Viranchi and get his views on. There's an obvious question that comes to the mind is that under the current scenarios, we have a lot of collaboration tool platforms already available in the market. So how different G Suite is, and if you can list down a few points here.
Thank you for that question. And well, look, I think G Suite is different in a lot of ways. I think to begin with, let me tell you that the whole working from anywhere, any device, and any time zone, any geography, has been there in our DNA. In fact, if you look at the Google's infrastructure back in 2007, it was a cobbled together technology stack where we were also using Microsoft, we were also using some other technologies like for audio video conferencing. But I think where we differ is in the simplicity, the intelligence, and the ease of use. If you ask any user today, it's very very simple for them to just start using Google Meet, start using Google Docs or Sheets. It's just a matter of click. They can use it from their phones as well. The other aspect when you talk about is around flexibility, right? And that was the question. I saw one of the options, employees wanting more flexibility. How flexible it is when somebody like me is on the road or somewhere else, trying to make a presentation. I don't have to think about going to a desktop, log in, start a PPT, and then send an attachment. I can do it very, very securely from my phone because my phone is giving me access to the Google Drive, Google Slides, and all those applications are containerized. It is very different from the consumer applications that I have versus the set of G Suite applications that I have on my phone. So I would say it's a combination of simplicity, ease of use, intelligence, and security. These are four or five areas where we differ from our competition and where we differ from others. And I think again the biggest thing is that we try to sell cultural transformation rather than focusing on feature functionality. So that's where we are, and happy to take specific queries as well if you want to compare
Okay.
as well something some specific
Okay.
vendor.
So you just highlighted that security is one aspect, and you know that this is one area of concern for anybody who is adopting or using a new technology as well as the existing one. So security remaining one of the major concerns for CIOs while evaluating any collaboration tool. How secure is G Suite? If you can specify that also.
Well, first of all, I think everybody knows, especially folks from the IT team would know, IT background will know that security is a mutual responsibility. But having said that,
Yeah.
it is a security first approach that Google takes. And you would see that in all our applications, all our enterprise applications. As I mentioned, our applications come with uh, device management. That's a part of it. It comes with the email DLP. It comes with Drive DLP. It comes with archiving, what we call it as Google Vault. So you could archive and retain and
Yeah.
e-discover information. Especially in this time where a lot of employees are leaving the organization or making switches, it's important to retain that data, right? And that is something which is already a part of our solution as well. And if you look at our enterprise edition offering, that's there's a lot more that you get in terms of cloud identity. When you talk about the whole beyond corp aspect, you can really reduce costs on VPN because that's also a part of our solution. So security has been taken very very seriously here. And I mean, Eric Schmidt, if you know that gentleman, and there's a lot of quotes around it as well, that if there is a completely secure system, it is G Suite plus Chrome Enterprise plus a Chromebook. That is the most secure
Oh,
system on the planet today so far. Of course, there are a lot of aspects around it. We also use security keys in our Chromebooks and devices as well. but this is the most secure setup on the planet if you have it ready. So, happy to share some more content around it, but rest assured, a lot of FSI organizations, a lot of manufacturing organizations like PwC, Airbus, they have very, very stringent security norms. And we were able to deliver that kind of response to their CISOs and compliance officers that we absolutely comply, we're absolutely secure. And as a result of multiple security workshops, they then decided to move
Yeah.
on to G Suite.
Okay. Okay. Thank you for elaborating that. I'm sure that would have taken care of the concern around security. And now I will move to Mr. Makradach and like to get from his his views on some other aspects which are in form of question. Can you help us understand that while effective migration strategy and change management are some of the key aspects while choosing a partner for migration to G Suite, what are the key differentiators one can expect from entity net magic? I think your device is in mute mode. Can you unmute that and then respond?
Okay, sorry for that.
Thank
Can you
you.
hear me now? Yeah, okay, thank you. So
I can
now,
clearly hear you.
yeah,
Please.
yeah, thanks. Okay. So now what happens? Now we are in a pandemic and we cannot afford, even for the migration, we cannot afford much downtime. Okay. So now what we need is a partner with the right skill set, okay, who is ensuring that okay, the right tool is used. And when we go for the migration, now what happens? At present, we have different like the mailing solution is running differently. Again, the business application, okay, where we set the meetings and then documentation is shared at the different platform. And what we need is a partner who is understanding and who is working since the ages, okay, not the emerged partner during pandemic itself, but NetMagic is a company who is working since ages, okay, even before the pandemic, and ensuring that when we are doing the migration, okay, being it's a migration of just a G Suite kind of capabilities or even entire IT migration or entire IT transformation journey. So for as a migration purpose itself, we need a right skill set who understand the existing as environment as well along with the target environment, and to ensure that the businesses have either minimal or no impact. So in terms, as I mentioned, like in entity NetMagic, we have right skilled trained resources which ensuring that okay, the right tool is used, then right features is chosen from the target solution to ensure that the TCO is advantage. And even on top of that, the migration is happening without any impact on the businesses, because we cannot even allow 1 hour kind of outages. Okay, so these are some of the key areas what I see. Even not only on the G Suite, but NetMagic is helping on your entire IT agenda. So even beyond G Suite, if customer needs okay some different kind of custom solutions, so we have a dedicated center of excellence which just takes care of the custom kind of requirement, the futuristic requirement, where okay, for example, the Anthos kind of offering with Google, so where the development is happening on premises as well as in the cloud, or as well as in the third party cloud as well, and then how we are going to do the deploy testing, so those kind of complex environment as well. So and we are into the data center business, we are into the cloud business, we are into a very strategic partnership with Google. Why with Google? Why the strategic with Google? Because Blanche has mentioned their actual the innovation is their DNA actual, and the security kind of things. So when we do have security offering as well. So there are certain aspects which distinguish NetMagic okay apart from the other partners. In terms of designation, we have premier partnership for designation for G Suite as well as the Google Cloud. And soon we will be going next level of partnership as well, which is the highest at the Google partnership. So this is some.
Okay. So while you spoke about you being a partner and what is it that you offer, if I could just quickly ask you your USP, if you like to, if you want to kind of highlight that as a Google partner, what's your USP that somebody should look at if that business is planning to partner with you?
Yeah, yes. So as I mentioned, first is the right set of skills, then tools, then the support system entire again. When we are migrating, not only the migration, but beyond migration, we need a partner or customer need a partner who is providing the stringent SLA, taking care of all the managed services aspect as well, ensuring the security is in place, compliance is in place for not only the one solution, but for entire IT offering or IT requirement of customer as well. Now at Entity NetMagic, again, we have all those set of actual solutions where we are not only providing a single service but the entire solution, taking care right away from the solution stage to the life cycle aspect as well. So these are some of the key differentiator. But with Google Cloud, we have very, very strategic engagement. Like along with the G Suite, even we are partner for the Anthos kind of which is actual application modernization platform, and very, very different in a nature, and it provides a drastic value. We are partner with Google for remote desktop or desktop as a service kind of offering. Now again, in this COVID, what we see, connectivity demand is increased, then collaboration tools, the G Suite itself is in surge. But the third most important is again the remote desktop requirement also got increased, because most of the staff who is working remotely, or they are the support system, like support staff, then level 1 level 2 staff, then they are working remotely, and what they need is a secure connection. On top of that, there is a security aspect as well. So you cannot allow a business critical data to be downloaded, because that local device can again the security can be breached. So desktop as a service, which is a cloud native, that is again a very, very unique offering what we have with the Google Cloud as well. Then we also are in the connectivity space. So now what happens when it comes to the large customer, it's always either hybrid or multi-cloud kind of deployment beyond the G Suite, beyond one tool. And then that time we do have capabilities around the security, even hosting, cloud offering, managed services, consulting, security, and all these are independent offerings as well as a customized solution offerings as well. I think that is something which really puts the entity NetMagic ahead in the competition.
Okay. Thanks for elaborating that, and giving the entire detailed aspect. I'm sure that would help people who are listening to this. So that
And then
was as
we
far as
do
our
provide a platform again with the Google. Since I mentioned it's a strategic, so even if customer would like, okay, so someone is saying, hey, you Makar, you Viranchi, you guys talked about G Suite, can you give me a demo kind of thing? Yes, we do. We will provide an entire suite of services, because Google allows us as a partner to provide even services free for some duration, and we can conduct even POCs, and even you can go through the user experience, because user experience is a very, very crucial when it comes to the remote working. And even we do provide some POC kind of environment where our expert will come, he will demonstrate to you, and even the customer will be able to see how the user experience is improved actually. So those kind of custom support also we do provide.
Okay, okay. That must be really helpful for the people who
Yeah.
look forward to this.
Yeah.
Thanks for adding that point. So that's what we had as far as the questions are concerned. I'm handing it over back to Shanice to take things from here.
Thank you, Vivek sir. And thank you to all our speakers, Mr. Viranchi, Mr. Takbare. Thank you so much. Before we conclude with the session, we will now move on to our last session of the day. Request each one of you to share your inputs, feedback through the poll displayed on your screen. Your feedback matters a lot to us. Request all our speakers and attendees to please take the feedback that is displayed on the right-hand side of your screen right now. We have a set of 4 questions in the feedback. Request each one of our attendees and speakers to please share your feedback and inputs on the poll displayed on your screen. Please scroll down for the third and fourth question. We have a few seconds left for the poll to end. Request each one of you to please take it. As we have the poll and feedback running simultaneously on your screens, once again request each one of y'all who haven't taken the poll, request y'all to please cast in your polls and inputs on the feedback that's displayed on your screen. With this, we bring today's virtual conference to a close. Today's session wouldn't have been a success without the active participation of all our esteemed speakers and delegates. I would like to thank each and every one of you for taking time out and being a part of this virtual conference today. A special thanks to NTT NetMagic and Google Cloud for their support in this initiative, with whom this conference wouldn't have been possible. Thank you once again, ladies and gentlemen. Take care and stay safe.
Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.